Hi everyone, and welcome to my first video for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on the Wii U. Now, I haven't put anything out video-wise for the last couple months, just been really busy, so I apologize for there being no videos since early January, I think. But, you know, I thought the time was right to finally start playing this game. I am a huge fan of the Wii original, and I thought Retro Studios did a fantastic job on that game. It's one of my favorites on the system, and definitely up there with the Galaxy games and the Rayman Origins and Legends games, which I played on PS3, but those do represent the pinnacle for me in terms of mascot platformers, or whatever you want to call them. So anyway, this video here is me going through the first stage, so it's just getting used to the controls and just getting reacquainted with the world of Donkey Kong Country Returns. So hope you enjoy it, and let's get started. Alright, so this is stage 1-1, which is Mangrove Cove, and it's funny, at the beginning here I'm just sort of sitting there looking at the button prompts, and for some reason I have a big mental block with the way Nintendo labels their buttons. You know, ever since the NES days, they've had A and B reversed, where A is on the outside and B is on the inside, and same with every system since then. So every time I see the button prompts, I'm like, X, Y. I mean, even if it's, you know, both X and Y, I still get confused. So I had to look down at my controller. And I am using the Wii U Pro controller to play this game. I just think it's a more comfortable controller and better suited for games like this. And yeah, as you can see from the beginning, there's already a lot of variety, and just the look of the game is very, very beautiful. Something that Retro did really well in the first game, and here I think it's just they've taken it to a whole new level. Very beautiful, and unfortunately I'm talking over all of David Wise's music, and it does change when you go into the water. It gets muffled, and the tune changes slightly based on whether you're out or in the water. So I think that's great. You know, the waterfall hitting the water, and you see the bubbles and I guess the turbulence underneath, and then you can see the moss or whatever that is growing on the trees, which is just great. I've mentioned this in other gaming videos, is that I love that half-submerged look. It's something that Studio Ghibli does a lot, particularly Hayao Miyazaki in his films, and so I love that anytime I see it in a game or a film. Now, the gameplay so far is very familiar to anyone who played the Wii game, and so you're gonna see me like kind of running blindly into walls, you know, to see if there's hidden alcoves to find puzzle pieces or hidden items or secret stages. So I do that a lot. And another thing I need to mention is, you know, there is some preciseness in bouncing off of enemies. You can bounce higher, but you have to press the jump button right before you land on them in order to get a boost in the air. So it's not like with most games where you just hold the jump button down and you bounce high automatically. Here it does take more precise platforming skills in order to do that. So that's something you should get used to, practice and get used to early on. So yeah, there's I'm gonna probably gush quite a bit just in this first video about Retro Studios level design, which is just superb. There's so much to do, and you know, if you're used to playing Mario games, you'll know that most Mario levels are pretty short, and they are great examples of tight level design, levels that you can beat in just a few minutes. They feel very intuitive, but apart from maybe the 3D games, particularly something like Super Mario 64, there isn't a whole lot of exploration. And that's something that I think the Donkey Kong Country games, the ones from Retro in particular, they just do so well. And you know, you're going to see throughout this video, and I think it runs about 7 minutes or so, could be longer, that there's just a lot going on. I mean, just at the very beginning, you slide down a hill, you're in the water, you're out, you have to dodge these almost like Venus flytraps. Now you're inside this structure, which I think might be a plane. I'm not sure. But it's teaching you very organically how to get around this world. And up there, you can see that you can jump on top of that Venus flytrap enemy and get on top of it, which I do very poorly here. Again, I'm still kind of getting used to the controls. Anyone who has played the Donkey Kong Country games knows that Donkey Kong's physics do take a little getting used to. They're very, very precise, but initially they can feel a little unforgiving, only because they are so precise. They're not as rigid as something like Volgar the Viking, or even the original Castlevania or anything like that. But they are more precise than the 3D Mario games, which I wouldn't say they're floaty. I think Mario games control exceptionally well, but they are a little less forgiving here. So yeah. Anyway, actually, that's probably not a plane. Yeah, definitely not a plane. So anyway, here you are back in the water again. Just great effects, with the light reflecting and refracting through the water. Those sort of like anemone-like structures at the bottom there. And it's going to be introducing another mechanic with being able to bounce up high. And it's funny because I just did it right there to get the heart out of the flower, and I didn't realize it bounced me up high. And so I think here I spend quite a bit of time trying to figure out how to get up there. And right here I'm thinking, oh shoot, do I need Diddy Kong in order to fly over there and get that O? But I think part of what the genius is about this game is that there's a jump button, there's a roll/attack button, and a grab button, and I think that's it. I think that is as diverse or as varied as the controls are, and so with those you have to kind of use your imagination and creativity and skill to get to the various platforms. And so far I think there might have only been an area or two where I felt like, okay, maybe you do need Diddy Kong to access something. And so here I'm like, well, maybe if I jump out of the water, and then I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I do that little torpedo thing, yeah, I can jump higher. So I tried a few times. I think soon enough I get it. Roll jump. That worked. So yeah, I think the game and the series in general, much like most Nintendo series, reward experimentation, and that's why I love their games. And so yeah, and so here, I mean, we're already, actually I said this might last 7 minutes, but we're nearly, I think, 5 minutes into the level, and I don't think it's even halfway done. So, this game, much like the Rayman games, I thought the Rayman games, the UbiArt framework ones, did stress length and variety in each level over just something that's short and might introduce one new game mechanic or gimmick. And here is the classic barrels. And here you can I'm just kind of taking my time to understand the timing here, and I think I missed this coin. Yeah, too slow. But yeah, it's just this part of the game, similarly to the first game, just shows how much depth they have kind of going through each stage. It's kind of cool how you go in and out of the trees, bouncing on the tops, which is a throwback to the first game when you're on the treetops in the first area. So yeah, I'm just running against walls, seeing what else I can do. And then here I get Diddy Kong again. And I think I pretty much mess up here, just kind of getting used to his controls. That's something that I did have a little bit of trouble with in Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii, was the floating controls when you have Diddy Kong. So the jump and float in the air temporarily mechanic led to my death quite a number of times in that game. And so I'm assuming the same is going to be true here, but we'll see. And yeah, just making mistakes. I don't know what I'm doing right there, jumping up into his mouth. And so yeah, this is at this point I thought, okay, well maybe I'm getting towards the end, and but no, it just keeps on going. And who knows? I mean, I think as long as the level's fun and there's lots to do and discover, and that there are checkpoints, which there are every time you pass that. The pig behind the counter there, that's a checkpoint. So it's good that they exist at the beginning of each of these sections. But yeah, really happy with this game. Here's an example of a secret where you can get a puzzle piece, and I'm not sure if you have to collect all those bananas. I'm assuming you do. And then once you do, you'll get your one of your puzzle pieces that helps unlock some of the extras in the game. It's 7, so I'm like, okay, I got 2 more, even though I was feeling like, alright, I must be getting towards the end, so I probably missed a piece or two, which was pretty common for me in the first game. But I liked that aspect of it. I liked finding the Kong letters, and I liked finding the puzzle pieces. They were cleverly hidden for the most part, and not obscure like they were, especially in Donkey Kong Country, the first one for the Super Nintendo. That game is definitely a sentimental favorite of mine. I love it, but it's not the most refined game, and if you look at it as just a pure platformer compared to the rest of the games that were published by Nintendo as part of their mainline franchises, it's okay. It's okay. I still call it a classic, but it isn't a game that I would hold in as high regard as something like Super Mario World or Super Mario 3D World or the Galaxy games. So anyway, here I'm figuring out how to get to that top platform, and I'm like, okay, it must have to do with that big target on that pole right there. And the nice thing about this game, and it's something that usually bugs me in other games, is that enemies respawn. And that is super important for the enjoyment of this game, because if you had taken that enemy out, you wouldn't have been able to go off screen and come back and throw him in order to get the G. So in this game, I like that enemies respawn. I don't like that they respawn in games like Ninja Gaiden on the NES or the Mega Man series, but it really works here. And so this is very similar to the secret areas throughout the rest of the series, and so you just have to collect all the bananas and within the time limit, and once you do, you will get another puzzle piece. And thankfully, after you get all the bananas, the timer stops. So there you go. That's 8 out of 9. I also do have to mention that just the graphical quality and the animation in this game is really good. Again, Retro Studios they know their stuff. They know how to. They get it. They get that a game isn't just about its gameplay or isn't just about its graphics. It has to be the complete package. And again, that's what I like so much about Nintendo. They put those things kind of on equal footing, and so it makes for game experiences that, in my opinion, are some of the most memorable. And I think I've said this in some reviews and other video clips, but I sometimes have to just kind of take a step back and be very thankful that we're alive during this time when games were had just been developed in the 70s and 80s, and to see where they've come, over such a relatively short amount of time is just amazing to see. And yeah, I'm just very thankful that it's something that has stayed around for so long and continues to exist, and companies are still creating games that are just a lot of fun to play and create lasting memories. So there, you always have to always go past the goal just to see if there's something extra. And thankfully, I did, and there was the final puzzle piece. And here, I didn't press the punch button, so I only got one banana coin, I guess is what they're called. I'm probably wrong. So I got all the letters, and I found all the puzzle pieces, and I believe you can do time attacks like you can in the other games. So that's the first stage. A lot of content, and I can't wait to see the rest of the game. So thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next video.